everybody. We have got a fantastic day lined up today. We had a great day yesterday. I want to talk to you about the power of network marketing. Why have you got involved in network marketing? I want to start off by very quickly telling you my story. I originally worked in the city. I was a futures and options broker for 7 years. Did that successfully, then set up my own business in financial services that went bust after 2.5 years, and I lost everything. And it was then that I was introduced to network marketing. And I got involved with a company that wasn't forever. And I was with that company part-time for 2 years, and in 2 years I was their least successful distributor. In 2 years I sponsored one person, and I think that's because they took pity on me. But I went to all the trainings, read all the books, listened to all the cassette tapes as they were back then. Anyone remember cassette tapes? Yeah, when they came loose, what did you do? Stick a pencil in it and turn it round? Yep. Shows how old I am. And I became a student of network marketing, and I fell in love with the industry. And I then decided to leave that company for a couple of reasons, mainly ethical and product-driven reasons. And then I spent time looking around the industry, looked at lots of companies I'm sure you've heard of. And eventually I came across Forever. And I had a meeting with the dearly departed Dusty Green, who was our ex-managing director. I was supposed to be with him for about an hour. I was with him for about 3.5 hours. He said one thing to me in that time that really resonated. He said, Adam, I promise you, you won't get rich quick, but you will get rich. And all the other companies had been promising me that I would be making small fortunes within a matter of a few months. And I knew that couldn't be the case. So I got involved with Forever part-time and was part-time for the first 23 months. And in that time built a big enough income to decide to go full-time. Went full-time in July 1995. Since then I've gone on to develop a substantial income paid from over 40 different countries, so this is very much a global opportunity. But because of the kind of income that you can generate with this company, it means I've been able to privately educate my children. I have been able to take as much holiday as I want. So last year I took about 2.5 months, of which at least a month was paid for by Forever, with spending money. And it's also my pension. So over the last 25 odd years, I have invested my time in building my Forever income, not money into building a pension. So if there's anyone in the room who's of a similar vintage, maybe a bit older or perhaps even a bit younger, who's concerned about what's going to happen if you are ever able to retire, because you might have noticed they are pushing up retirement ages, as John touched on yesterday in his 50-year plan, because obviously now people are working for 50 years rather than 40 years. But if you're concerned about what might happen when you retire, this is a great place to be. So what I want to do is to start by telling you what it was like for me when I first joined the industry. And it was a bit like wandering through the fog. Every now and again the fog would roll back and I'd think I'd know what I was doing. And then maybe a few hours later the fog would roll back in again and I'd be totally confused. And the fog kept rolling in and rolling back and rolling in and rolling back. Has anyone ever felt a bit like that? That one minute they can see clearly what they're supposed to be doing and the next they're really confused and not quite sure anymore. Tom Barrett does a great example of that in his book, or talks about that in his book, Dare to Dream, Work to Win. And talking about Tom Barrett, I do want to promote a free resource. There's actually a CD you can buy from Barry the Book, from Knowledge is King, called Communication Guys. But they also have a website called communicationguys.com, which is totally free. There's loads of podcasts on there, all free. You can sign up to them. And Tom Barrett is one of the finest communicators around the industry. So if you want to learn how to conversationally market, which is what he coaches, this is a completely free resource for you to go to that website. So when I first joined the industry, I came across this world-renowned economist called Paul Zane Pilzer. And he'd just written a book called Unlimited Wealth. And in that book, he described how fortunes in the future would be made not by manufacturing products, but by distributing them. And so when I joined network marketing, I thought, crikey, this is amazing. I'm in the right industry. I'm in the distribution industry. He then subsequently went on a few years later to write a book called The Wellness Revolution, in which he explained how the traditional or the Western or allopathic medical model had swung, the pendulum had swung far too far in that direction, and it was starting to come back again. And that people were going to want to take control of their health themselves. They were going to eat more healthily, take more exercise, take supplements. And I'm sure over the last 25 years, you've all seen this happening. And that then spawned a couple of another book called The Next Millionaires. He said how the next millionaires would be created in this industry, and then the next trillion CDs and stuff that have been spawned from this one book, The Wellness Revolution. And that's really where we sit in Forever. We are in the market of distribution, and we're in the market of distributing wellness products. And that's a fantastic place to be. Both of those are massive growth industries. Now, in 2013, the market size of the global wellness industry, just the top two sectors here. The first one is beauty and anti-aging. And then the second sector is healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss. And those the first one accounts for just over 1.1 trillion. The second one accounts for about 575 billion. So just the top two sectors alone account for over $1.6 trillion. So we're in a fantastic marketplace. In the global direct selling figures for 2014 shows that we're also sitting in a brilliant place, because Europe only accounts for 17% of sales, but you can build a business anywhere you want. And the industry is growing. I think the figures for last year now are over $190 billion globally in the DSA, the Direct Selling Association figures. So it's a great place to be. Robert Kiyosaki, has anyone heard of him? He wrote a fabulous book 15, 20 years ago called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he says that network marketing is the business of the 21st century. And he was so inspired when he discovered the industry that he actually wrote a book called The Business of the 21st Century. Has anyone not yet read that book? Anyone not read that book? Can I strongly suggest and urge you today, go to Knowledge is King and get something to start educating yourselves. Now, Robert Kiyosaki talked about the 4 quadrants. And he said there's 95% of people sit in the first 2 quadrants, which is the E and the S, the employee and the self-employed sectors. And in those things, what we're really doing is swapping our time for money. And as John very clearly said yesterday, it doesn't matter whether you're employed by the council to drill holes in the road, or you're a highly paid self-employed dentist drilling holes in teeth. If you're not drilling, you're not earning. Whereas Robert Kiyosaki says the people who become very wealthy either have people working for them by having a business, or they have money working for them. And again, this is echoed by Tom Barrett. He says this is golf course economics. There are 2 ways to become really wealthy, and one is to have people working for you, the second is to have money working for you. And the challenge that we all face is that very few of us have companies that employ people that's going to generate us income, and very few of us have money to invest to make us money. But Tom Barrett actually says that we can get income stream number 1, which is people working for us, not that we employ people in network marketing, but if we build a big team and we have lots of participants in our team, that's going to create a revenue stream for us, revenue stream number 1. And if we are sensible, we will take some of that revenue stream and invest it, and then are able to access revenue stream number 2, which is to have money working for us as well. Now, Robert Kiyosaki actually goes on to say that when you're an employee, it's hard work, there's no job security, your time isn't your own. Countless times I've had people who are FBOs who also got a full-time job. And, you know, sometimes they phone me up crying because they wanted to get a day off work because their child was ill, or they wanted to go off and do something, and they just couldn't even get the day off. When you're self-employed, it may involve you investing lots of money. But on the other side, if you're a business owner, it's reasonably easy work, it's stable, you've got plenty of time to do the things you want. And if you're an investor, you don't have debts. And here's my top financial tip for you. Pay off your debt before you start investing, because you'll be paying far more in interest on your debt than you will by actually investing. So get that stuff paid off quickly and then start investing the rest. But you know what's interesting is that 95% of people fit in either the E or the S sectors. And they only own 5% of the wealth. Now listen, I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the way it is. Whereas on the other side, business owners and investors, 5% of the people own 95% of the world's wealth. In fact, I read an article maybe 6-8 months ago which suggested those figures have got worse, not better. It suggested that 3% of the world's population own 97% of the world's wealth. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not arguing whether that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the way it is. But which side of the equation do you want to be sitting on? So what if you don't have money to invest? What if you don't have a company to employ to make you money? Why don't you start a business where you can invest time, which can bring the same rewards as investing money? And what is that business? That business is network marketing. He says there are only two things you can invest, time and money. And of the two, time is more important. We don't want your money. I mean, let's face it, 200 quid to start a global business is peanuts. What we want is you to invest time in building a future for yourself. Now, this was a quote from two people. I took one of them out because his first name was Donald. And if you play cards, sometimes you might trump someone. However, we found one business model stood out from the rest. This particular business model creates passive income but requires relatively little cash investment to start up. It's a very low overhead, can be operated on a flexible part-time basis till it generates enough cash flow for the entrepreneur to transition out of his current full-time job, his or her current full-time job. How many people here would like to transition out of their current full-time jobs? Wow, we have a lot of transitioners in the room. Jim Rohn. I don't have many regrets in life, but one of them was I never got to see a man who was known as America's foremost business philosopher, one of the finest personal development coaches ever, a guy called Jim Rohn. And he said, network marketing is the big wave of the future. It's taking the place of franchising, which now requires too much capital for the average person. There's a franchise show just down the corridor. I used to go to the franchise show every year, not because I was interested in buying a franchise, but because I went and very naughtily gave people my cards. Because that's the kind of person I am. However, what really intrigued me about franchising was you could spend 20 or 30 grand on what's called a man in a van franchise. Now, you don't get the van for that, by the way. That's just to have the name of the franchise. And yes, franchising, it does a bit of marketing for you, and you get all your stuff branded, all this kind of stuff. But for goodness sake, why would you pay somebody else 20 grand for the rights to go and clean someone else's toilet? I mean, if I want to clean someone else's toilets, I'll buy my own bog brush. But that's one of the man in a van franchises, is a cleaning franchise. And I just thought it was astonishing that people were investing all this money, and they had to pay an annual royalty every year, whether they made profit or not. And don't forget, it takes as long for a franchising company to break even. If you buy a franchise, it takes as long for that to break even as it does a traditional business. It takes 3 to 5 years for a franchise to break even, just the same as it does with any other business. So why would you pay someone 20 grand for the right to have their branding to clean someone else's toilet? So why do people join multi-level marketing, network marketing, team marketing companies? Well, 51% want supplemental income. In fact, Louise Riley does a brilliant training where she says actually the company figures from Forever show that 67% of distributors that remain in, I'm not talking about the people that join and then get kidnapped by aliens, I'm just talking about the ones that actually stay, 67% don't want to build a business. They just want to make a few £100s a month by retailing product, by making a supplemental income. 34% want to make a full-time income. Maybe those transitioners that we're talking about, because you need a full-time income to transition out of your job. 9% join to get product discounts, but 6% to meet new people, which is really interesting because as social trends go, we are becoming more isolated. You can bike in your takeaways. everyone's entertainment. You know, you can go on Netflix and get a whole box set and spend the entire weekend not leaving your house, having all your alcohol, assuming you drink, food, biked in, driven in, and you can just sit there watching an entire box set of Netflix. You're not interacting with anyone. You might be having a good time, but there's no interaction going on. People want to meet people. They want to feel part of something. And that's part of what we provide, is a sense of belonging. Robert Kiyosaki says the network marketing industry offers a ready-made business system to anyone wanting to take control of their financial future. How many people here would like to take control of their financial future? You know, you're in the right room. So how are we different? On the right-hand side of the screen, you've got traditional distribution chain. You manufacture it, goes through the whole series of links in the chain before the product finally reaches the customer or the consumer. And it's what's happening to the price of the product as it goes through all those links in the chain. It's increasing in price because everyone has to make their margin or their markup. On the left-hand side, you can see forever, product goes directly to us, and from us it goes directly to our customers or our consumers. And it's because we take on all of those jobs on the right that the company will pay out up to 68% of the retail price, including retail profit, bonuses, and commissions. And if you dig more deeply, traditional business is about a few people doing a lot. So this is the description of a job. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. You have a job. A company will employ you. They will get you to work as long hours as they can and pay you as little as they can get away with. Isn't that true? And get you to do as much work as they can possibly get out of you. That's a traditional job. So a company employs you, they get you to do as much work as they can, they'll pay you as little as they can possibly get away with. Whereas with us, we become FBOs, that's those little kind of grey, greeny bits, blobs in the middle, that's us. And then we help you to get 15 to 20 customers, then we help you to find people and help them get 15 to 20 customers and so on. And what it means is that with our business model, it's a win-win-win. Because the customers win because we look after them, because they're our customers. Don't ever make the mistake of thinking they're forever's customers. Your customers are your customers, so look after them. That enhances the company's reputation because we look after them. How many people here have had a crap service experience with, let's say, a mobile phone provider or an internet provider? Or exactly, we all have. They're pants, aren't they? And then we benefit because we are independent distributors and we make the lion's share on the sales we make to our own customers, but then we also get paid a small percentage on the customers of the distributors we introduce and the people they introduce and so on. So we end up getting paid on these multiple levels of distributors and customers, hence multi-level marketing. So what is network marketing? It's simply the distribution of products or services through a network of independent distributors. And the company makes bonus payments to us depending on the amount of volume. You know, some people get confused about network marketing. One of the things that's constantly thrown at us is that it's just a fancy recruitment scheme. Well, it's not. Because you could have 1,000 people in your team, but if they weren't turning over any product, you wouldn't be earning any money. It's not just about building a team, it's about building a productive team. You need to write that word productive down, because that's just a basic of business, isn't it? And it's a global opportunity. So what is the secret? There is no secret. It's called work, it's called education, it's called dedication, it's called determination, it's called belief. Art Jonak, very successful network marketer, says it's amazing how people think 4 years is a long time to succeed in a business, but think it's all right to stay broke at a job for 40 years. How many of you have had friends say to you, oh, you've been doing that for 6 months and you're not making very much money? Has anyone ever had that said to them? Oh, I'll see how you do. Let me know how you're getting on in a year or so. And yet all these people are doing the same old, same old. You're doing something different. You're building something for yourself. And as I said yesterday, if you have an entrepreneur's mindset, entrepreneurs know that work comes before hello? Money. Work comes before money. Brian Tracy, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Don't do anything for the money you'll make, but instead for the skills you will learn. Robert Kiyosaki says that building a network marketing business is the best business school you will ever go to. It teaches you more business skills than actually going to a business school. Jim Rohn, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Robin Sharma, one of the books he wrote was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. To earn more, you must learn more. One of the things people do is they join network marketing, they join Forever, they go along to a couple of trainings, they kind of half-heartedly leaf through the information, and then they sit back waiting for it to happen. Instead of educating themselves, buying a book every month or a CD. And listen, here's my top tip. It's not just about buying the book. Open it and read it. Listen to the, get that CD, listen to it on the way home. I tell you, there's something on there called the 6 smelling salts, which is 6 conversational openings when you're talking to people about the opportunity. Brilliant. Get that CD, The Communication Guys from Barry. And life begins at the end of your comfort zone when you join. I mean, there was one lady in particular who gave one of the 5cc testimonials who said she would never have dreamt in a million years of standing up in front of a room full of people, yet there she was. She knew that personal growth that she had to go through. Because it's outside of your comfort zone where the magic happens. You know, my biggest fear in life before I joined network marketing was speaking in public, which is why I never made it as a rock singer. I was a great singer, I was just shy. Why are you laughing? It's a very serious point, you know. But you know, when I first spoke, when I first joined network marketing, I saw all these people standing on stage, and I realized the money was being made by the people who were standing on the stage in front of the room full of people, and I decided I had to do that. So after a few months, I volunteered to speak, and it was the most terrifying experience of my life because it was a whole week, and I only had 5 slides. It was the slot they used to break in the new speakers, and these 5 slides were there, and you know, I took them home and I played around with them, and I had those little yellow cards, and I wrote loads and loads of notes, and you know, then it was the next day, and before you knew it, the week was up, and I think it was a Thursday evening, and I walked in. In those days, the business presentations were 300 to 400 people. This wasn't some little, you know, one man and a dog BP somewhere. This is a big deal. And I can remember the first 2 speakers went on and they just seemed to go like that. And the next thing I heard the second speaker introducing me, saying my name. And I walked all the way up from the back through the middle of the audience. And I wouldn't look at anyone. I was just like this. I got to the front of the stage. I turned around and I spent all my time reading my crib cards and looking at the screen, too embarrassed to look at everyone. And it seemed like I was up there for hours. You know, I had waterfalls coming out of my armpits. I was bathed in sweat. I was shaking. I was physically shaking. I was so scared. And I finished my bit and I introduced the next speaker, and I stood there because a good speaker knows there has to be a focus of attention at the front of the room. So you wait till the speaker comes to you before you leave the stage. So I was standing there not looking at anyone, and then I walked all the way back through the audience like this, wouldn't look at anyone. I just went straight up to the person at the back of the room who organized the meetings, and said, please, can I do that again next week? Because I knew that if I didn't, I would never do it again. So sometimes you need to get out of your comfort zone. The great Zig Ziglar, I was privileged on my very first rally. John will remember this, Jane will remember this. We went to Dallas and the guest speaker was the great Zig Ziglar. And Zig is the man who coined what I consider to be our philosophy. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Isn't that a great philosophy to have? Jim Rohn, whoever renders service to many puts himself in line for greatness, great wealth, great return, great satisfaction, great reputation, and great joy. Zig Ziglar, if people like you, they'll listen to you, but if they trust you, they'll do business with you. You know, one of the things that has been a very common theme over the last few years is people sitting at home building their businesses on social media, building virtual relationships with people. I want to give you a tip. It is easy for a distributor who you have a virtual relationship with to walk away from that relationship. My advice to you is get in front of them as quickly as you can. Make it so they can look you in the eyes and know that they like you, that they trust you, that they can do business with you. And introduce them to other team members. You know, having a real relationship with you is going to keep them in, but having a web of relationships is going to keep them in much longer. And sometimes we need to be kept in because we don't fulfill our potential and we think it doesn't work. It does work. Look at you all. Look at all the 5cc qualifiers. Look at the people who've been recognized so far this weekend. This works. So how does the Forever business opportunity stack up against a job, being self-employed or owning a business? Well, you've all seen these leaflets. One of the things for me is this is about building wealth for yourself, not making someone else rich. You've all heard the saying, you'll never get rich working for someone else. It's about building a royalty income. It's about leveraging time instead of swapping your time for money. In a job, there's only two ways you can earn more money. One is work longer hours, two is get a promotion or a pay rise. And it's really the same when you're self-employed. You can either work longer hours or you can raise your prices. But with us, you can do what is impossible to do unless you own a company, which is you can leverage time. With a job, you're swapping your time for money. With Forever, if you start your own business, this should be starting your own business here. You've got high startup costs. With Forever, you can start for 200 quid. 200 quid. You don't have to hold any stock. In a normal business, you'd have to hold stock if there's stock involved. You've got overheads. You can work from home with us. And Forever's the smart choice. Jane gave me permission to use this from one of her trainings, which is 21st century problems might be money problems, where you might get into debt, you don't have savings. Do you know, most families in the UK have 3 months worth of money before they go bust. Traditional solution might be to borrow money. 21st century solution is to start a Forever business. So let's talk about the story. We're trading in more than 150 countries. You all know the scene. Bob talked you through all of this morning. Even if you don't like numbers, you can see which way the arrow's going. Why? 3 reasons. An outstanding product range, a global marketplace that's growing, and a proven and exceptional business model. But you know, there's some unique selling points about Forever that you really need to understand. First of all, we've been in business for nearly 40 years. That is an incredible length of time. We're the world's largest producers. We're vertically integrated, which means we own everything. We own the land in which the aloe plants are grown. We hand harvest the aloe leaves. We hand fill it. We stabilize it, which means we add natural ingredients to it to give it a shelf life. We manufacture the products ourselves. The products, when they're manufactured, are quarantined for a period of weeks and months, while exhaustive tests are carried out on them before they're released to us to sell to our customers. Why? Because the company doesn't want us distributing crap products. That is not our way. We're privately owned. That's why we have chairman's bonus. If we were a publicly quoted company, we would have to pay dividends to the shareholders. We have the best consumable products in the market. We're a world leader. We're vertically integrated. So we grow the aloe. We produce the aloe products. Do you know the company is consistently investing in the infrastructure of Forever? Jane touched on that yesterday. We're installing a multi-million-dollar enterprise resource planning and supply chain tool in Aloe Vera of America. Forever Nutraceuticals, which I visited with some of my team last November before the GoPro seminar. This is actually now up and running. We have our own blister pack machine, and the year before last we bought our own stick pack machine so that we could produce our own RG sticks and fiber sticks. This is what Rex does with his money. He doesn't blow it. He invests it in our future. That's why we own all of our head offices around the world. And Forever Direct are installing a third loop, which is going to increase our order fulfillment capacity by 35%. I've just been in South Africa. I'm going to say that in South African. 35%. That's for the gentleman who gave a testimonial earlier. So what is it? Again, we distribute products, we're paid for the volume that goes through our team, and we have a global opportunity. So evolution is necessary, and we are constantly evolving. We have the best director of product development in the industry called Holly Stout. She's making remarkable changes to our existing products and improving the ones that we have. We've got the best technology. We're using the best science. We use the best ingredients, literally the most expensive ingredients money can buy, because they are the best. And we focus on the human body, and in particular the skin, which is not just the external skin, but also the skin inside. This is where we operate. This is us. And then we have the opportunity. And John Curtis was kind enough to let me use some of these points from a fabulous presentation he gave in Greece at the Eagle Manager Retreat last year. We have an uncapped income. It's a global income. We have so many incentives. I'm not even going to touch on them. You all know what they are. But it's personal development mixed with a legacy style business. You're going to be able to pass this on to your kids. And the benefits are extraordinary. You can have a lifestyle the way you want to live your life. You can have financial freedom. How many people have heard those testimonials yesterday where people were saying they've paid off their mortgage within 8 years, or they've got rid of their debt, they've got a car without any payments to make. You can have long-term financial security. You've got time freedom. You've got choices. That's ultimately what this business gives us, is choices. And your Forever ID is your license to trade around the globe. Once you register, that ID number can take you anywhere in the world. So what can Forever give you? Well, it can give you lifestyle. It can give you luxury. It can give you money. You can help others. I mean, what could be a nicer way of doing business than helping others? You get recognized for doing a good job. You can travel the world. I have traveled literally from Alaska in the north all the way down to the South Island of New Zealand, and just about everywhere in between, all paid for by Forever. I've seen the white whales, the beluga whales, chasing the salmon up an inlet in Alaska, and I've been to one of the most spiritual places I've ever been to in my life, which was a place called Milford Sound in the South Island of New Zealand. I've seen the pink dolphins of the Amazon. I've ridden elephants in Zambia and elephants in Thailand with Forever, all paid for. You can have fun. Toga. Family. So on the left you can see me and my 2 daughters in the ice bar, and on the right that's my son George and I at the Rugby World Cup final in 2015. Now, I had stupidly bought tickets to the quarter and the semi-final, thinking England might just get that far. We didn't, but we were sitting in the semi-final, and I was chatting to a couple next to us, and the lady said, there are still tickets available for the final on the RFU website. So I went home that night and I bought George and I tickets to the final, because I thought, when am I ever in my life going to be able to take my son to a World Cup final in any sport? And the tickets were about 1,500 quid. But you know what? It was one of the best investments I ever made. Because life isn't about how many toys you collect. Life is about the experiences that you have. And at the end of last year, I was pleased that I was able to buy 2 debentures at Twickenham as well. So George and I have been to our first match together. Weekend before last, we went to the French game. Where's Gilles? Is Gilles in the audience? Yep, we beat you. We're going to Italy next weekend, and then a week or 2 after that, we're going to the Scotland game. Thanks to Forever. Experiences. My best friend Andrew, who I've known for years, we played in a band together for years. Year before last, he decided to get married in New York. I could drop everything, and I could go to New York to be at his wedding. I was the only friend he had at his wedding, because it was a lastminute.com thing. Thanks to Forever. Friendships. Do you know I've made more real friends in Forever in the last 25 years than I have in the previous 25 years of my life. And giving back. Forever has its own charity, but it also means I'm able to give time back. So this Christmas and every other Christmas when I don't have my kids, those pictures of me on Christmas Day. The local Rotary Club have a Christmas lunch for old people. And they get 400 or 500 old people along who would otherwise be at home on their own on Christmas Day, and probably without having a Christmas meal. And we have all the local minibuses from the charities. We pick them all up, we drive them in, we cook the food. I was actually in the kitchens this time, which is why you can see I was on the peas again. Get it? Yeah. And then we serve them a meal. And you know what? I feel privileged to be able to do that kind of thing. And that's what giving is. It's not just about giving money, because I do give to a lot of charities. A number of them are very close to my heart, things like the lifeboats and the RSPB and the Wildlife and Wetlands Trust, that kind of stuff. But I also give my time. But ultimately it's about team. The first year I qualified for level 3 chairman's bonus, we picked the checks up in Hawaii in 2013. What a place to have a team photo on Waikiki Beach. Isn't that incredible? And then a couple of years after that, this was in Singapore. And I've just qualified for my 5th level 3 chairman's bonus check in a row. And do you know what gives me great pleasure, more than picking up a check myself, is seeing people in my team pick up their check. You know, my great friends Ashley and Louise Riley, for the first time ever last year, picked up a level 2 chairman's bonus check. And I have to say, I was crying when I saw them pick that up, because I know how hard they've worked and what contribution they've made to all of our businesses. And Jane Leach, not just the finest mentor and coach in Forever, but also one of the finest coaches and mentors in the entire industry, says, network marketing is the people's business. It doesn't recognize color, race, age, or education, but it does reward hard work, focus, consistency, and a willingness to help others. Nowhere in the world have I seen a fairer way of creating a dream lifestyle, not just for yourself, but for the many thousands of people you will impact when you say yes. Don't think about it, just do it. Albert Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Why? If you want your life to change, you have to do something different. If you've joined Forever, you're doing something different. So don't just plod along doing the same thing. Look for different things. If it's not working, work harder, learn more, buy more books, buy more CDs, read the books, listen to the CDs, look at the webinars, do the whole lot and do something different. Make it different. Make your life different. Make your Forever business great. Stephen Covey, who wrote one of the most popular management books ever, The 7 Secrets of Highly Successful People. Network marketing has come of age. It's undeniable that it's become a way to entrepreneurship and independence for millions of people. And finally, until he started giving his money away in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the richest man in the world once said, if I would be given a chance to start all over again, I would choose network marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, not only have you chosen network marketing, which is the finest industry in the world, but you have chosen, by accident or by design, the finest company within that incredible industry. And I said, and many years ago, I was walking across the atrium of a huge hotel in Dallas on my first ever rally in 1995. I'd met Rex the previous year, and every year he used to go to every single country, 50 or 60 countries, to every single national rally. We didn't have one big global rally. Every country had its own. I'd met him. In between that time and being in Dallas, he must have met hundreds of thousands of other distributors. I was walking across the atrium of this hotel. Rex was walking over there. He saw me. He changed direction. He walked straight up to me. And he said, "Hi, Adam. How are you?" And I knew at that point, this was the place I would plant my flag. This is where I would make my stand. Ladies and gentlemen, you are privileged to be with Forever in network marketing. Make sure you live up to that privilege by sharing this opportunity with as many people as possible so you too can change lives. Thank you.